Hello and welcome to the second of the Sunday Wild Card games. Green Bay Packers on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. All the way out to 5.5 at some of the books. Still a 4.5, an expensive 4.5 available out there if you do some shopping around here in favor of the Eagles at home over Green Bay. 45.5 to 46 is our total. Mo, this opened 3.5. It was the first bet I put into my account. I fired the 3.5 in there on Philadelphia. I like the rest angle here for them. I like the fact that Jordan Love is banged up. I like the fact that Christian Watson's not going to be out there for Green Bay. I just like a whole lot about Philadelphia in this game. I think this defense is, if not the best defense in the NFL, certainly inside the top 5 as far as well-rounded units, hard to run against, hard to pass against, all kinds of things here that they can bring you from a look standpoint. And maybe I'm buying into the Kool-Aid a little bit, but, you know, I actually, even on one of my shows, talked to a doctor this week, and they were talking about this ulnar nerve thing in Jordan Love's elbow. And the problem is where that really can affect you too, not just in the elbow, but it runs all the way to your pinky. And like, so obviously your pinky, like the last point of contact with the ball as you're throwing the ball. They were talking about historically, they have seen guys that have had trouble with accuracy with this injury before, if they hadn't given it a few weeks to rest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Take from that what you will. We don't know the extent of the injury here for Jordan Love, but it was just more fuel for the fire for me anyway to come in and take the 3.5 on Philadelphia. Now I understand that that's not available anymore. You can find a 4.5. The difference between 3.5 and 4.5, it's a difference. It's not like, you know, I mean, 4 probably, since we've gone to the whole getting 2-point conversion happy, and also I'm sure it has hit way more, you know, whatever, and we'll get all that data, but would still probably lay the 4.5 and feel fairly comfortable with it in all of this. What say you?
Well, I hope you're wrong, because I still have my Green Bay futures holding the bag a bit with the path they wound up with. Mm-hmm. Now the line is longer than it was when I bet on it multiple weeks ago, even though at that point it wasn't even certain that they would be in the playoffs, I don't think. But listen, I think there's big concerns for both sides. I think on the Eagles side, I'd be very concerned as an Eagles backer about Jalen Hurts' concussion recovery. You know, we have seen quarterbacks. I think you can probably find this if you just start Googling around, but the record of quarterbacks coming back from a concussion is pretty poor. They have often played not close to their best. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a talented enough player to where if he's not close to his best, the Eagles are going to be in good shape. I think they'd be actually in pretty big trouble. And I'm also worried how that may affect their strategies as far as like going for the bush push, stuff like that. We know how effective those plays can be. I don't know if that's even in play this week. So we'll see what they decide to do there. Obviously, they have a very good running back, so maybe they don't need it. But on the other side, you have Jair Alexander being out. That's big. Facing some very strong receivers here, obviously. On the other hand, A.J. Brown is less than 100%. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. My biggest fear on the Green Bay side of things is the matchup between the quarterback and the defensive coordinator. You have Jordan Love, who likes to be aggressive, likes to trust his arm, likes to push the ball downfield. I think he was 4th in ADOT this year. So we know he wants to get after it. And you have a Vic Fangio defense that thrives on preying on quarterbacks who are overly aggressive. We know how you need to attack this defense. You need to run the ball. You need to throw short. You need to be patient. That is a lesson that took 2 years to sink in for Patrick Mahomes, and now he is eating against these defenses, but it takes some time for quarterbacks to settle into that when they're used to making big plays constantly. So I don't like that matchup. I'm worried Jordan Love is going to be forcing some throws here in spots where he shouldn't be. I do trust this Green Bay staff. It's a great offensive staff. They should, in theory, be prepping all this stuff, but once you get on the field and the bullets start flying and you're Jordan Love and you throw off platform constantly and you've had the success you've had, I think that creates a false sense of security a bit in a spot like this where you do need to be patient and you do need to take what the defense gives you.
Yeah, I guess I look at this and I don't see any advantage at all outside of the coaching staff, really, which again, yes, that's huge. But when there is a player, let's just talk about strictly on the field stuff. Like, would I probably take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts, all things created equal? Yeah, but like he's injured. And so it's like, so, okay, let's call that a push, in my opinion. You're taking Saquon Barkley over Josh Jacobs. You're taking any receiver over any receiver that Green Bay has. You're certainly taking this defense over anything that Green Bay's putting out there on the defensive side. It's hard for me to find that thing, right, where I can go, and then you're down a receiver as well. Like, yeah, there's just like a lot of things here. You're down your best corner that leads me towards the Eagles kind of here in this one a decent amount. Now, what I will say is the Eagles, if there is a path that maybe you could hide Love, if he isn't quite 100% there with that elbow and stuff, is the fact that the Eagles run light boxes at the highest rate in the league. And so you might just pound Jacobs like as much as humanly possible to begin this game and see if that works, and see if they have to then make an adjustment on their end, which could create some stuff for Jordan Love. So, I mean, I think there's some creative ways to maybe attack this Eagles team and see if it works. And then if it does, then maybe you find some success somewhere along the way. I do think that Jacobs gets fed early here to see just how effective he can be against again a defense that just doesn't ever like to really stack the box. They just kind of like, all right, we're gonna have our dudes up there that are big, and if they can stop you, then they'll stop you, and if not, then we'll deal with it on the second level. So I do kind of have that worry, at least a little bit, that Jacobs might actually be able to feast at least early on, and then see how this plays out if the Eagles do get in a deficit and Hurts isn't 100%. But that's kind of like the one scenario that I have that could lean towards the Packers, where I have like 6 or 7 other ones that kind of lean towards the Eagles, which I typically will always go that direction if it's outweighed that much for me. I'm not all that worried about Hurts, and maybe I should be, considering what you just said. It was like he was ready to go right back in the game, and then they were like, no, you've got to like come off and all that stuff. Like, he didn't even think he was concussed and all that. And so I don't know. I mean, he wouldn't have played last week anyway because they rested all their starters. So it doesn't really, like, that doesn't concern me either, because he wouldn't have played last week anyway. So I don't know. Are you worried at all about, because it'll come up, right? I mean, it's going to come up between now and kicker. Like, are you worried at all about rust? Like, with them not having the dudes out there for a while?
Not really that, but yeah, I guess it just makes me wonder what you said. Did they even try to push him through concussion protocol the prior week? I don't know, because they're just saying now that he cleared the protocol today, I think. I don't know if that's a factor of they didn't care. They didn't even care for him to try to clear it because they were always resting him, or he wasn't clearing it last week, which that happens with concussions pretty frequently. So, I don't know what that means, and that's why there's just a lot of unknowns in this game, and I don't have a bet in this game. My concerns about both offenses do make me lean a bit to the under, as crazy as that seems, with kind of a middling number. Yeah. Two very good offense. But, like, Green Bay was still 7th in defensive VOA this year. Eagles were 1st. I mean, these are two very strong defenses. And like I said, I agree with you. I think Jacobs is going to be getting the ball a lot early. They have the offensive line to try to do it. So both sides do. Both sides have the offensive line to take the ball out of the quarterback's hands, which I think is probably best on both sides. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you these are awful quarterbacks or anything, but I don't trust Jalen Hurts in must-pass situations for sure. And like I said, Jordan Love is in a spot where I don't like the matchup with the opposing defensive scheme. So I think both teams should be looking to run the ball.
The full game rush attempts for Josh Jacobs is sitting 16.5. I understand that, I guess in theory it could get into a game state that they have to just pass a lot. I don't think this is a blowout type game, so I don't think that gets there. It would surprise me. I think it would be, I'll put it this way, Mo. I think that the offense would be doing it wrong if they get to halftime and he doesn't at least have 10 carries, right? You know what I'm saying? So then you're only asking for 7 in the second half. Like, I think you probably didn't go about this the right way if you didn't look and say, okay, they're really only trying to stop the run with the front four. Like that's like basically how they play. They're okay with what they have on the back. Like I think you go with that until it's proven that you can't go with it. So I mean, I'm a little bit drawn to over there. You got to get to 17 carries. I think, again, it would be a tragedy if they did not have 10 or 11 with him by halftime in this. And so that's at least a prop that, again, if you're playing SGPs or something, right, like maybe you could throw in that kind of tells the story of how you think that this game might play out.
And we know what's going to happen when they get in the red zone.
Yeah.
That guy is a touch hog in the red zone. So I kind of like his anytime touchdown. Mm-hmm. I think there were some pluses out there. I don't know if they're still available, but I think that's not right. He should probably still be minus, even in a spot where I don't expect a ton of offense.
Yeah.
He just gets the ball constantly in the red zone, and he makes it happen. He scored like 10 straight games or something absurd, I think. I looked at his game log.
Yeah, I think that's a good look as well. And again, certainly something that if you're putting together an SGP or something like that you could make as part of your storytelling when it's all said and done. Guys, again, everything we do, absolutely free. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Do appreciate the support here on the channel. Head over the lines, upper right-hand corner, Discord. That is free too. You can talk this game and all the sports that are going on out there, absolutely free as well. For Mo, I am Matt. Good luck on all your Packers and Eagles bets.